Hey, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Well, not afternoon yet. Well, it might be for some place in the world. I'm not sure. But listen, what's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday. It's an amazing day today. You want to know why? Because today we're going to travel across the other side of the globe. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to take a time warp, and somehow in the middle of this interview, it's going to be today and tomorrow at the same time. How about that? And she's laughing at me right now backstage. So listen, had to make some impromptu changes, but this is what happens when you are resilient. You make things happen anyway. So listen, today we are celebrating day 14. Can you believe it? It's been 14 days of 25 days of her. 25 days of her is being brought to you because this is Women's History Month. And I have 25 amazing women who are part of this amazing book called HERStory. And so why not celebrate them? Why not let you know exactly who they are? Not who they were, but who they are this day. And today, it's all about this beautiful, resilient Jedi sister soul. I see her backstage. You ready to come to the forefront? You ready? All right. None other than, yes, everyone send your hearts and likes and hello and welcome. Good morning. Oh, I see some people joining us today. So welcome all the way from Hong Kong, Shirley. Oh my gosh. So yeah, you had an amazing day and evening. You just got finished getting off of another forum and now you're here and we had to make some adjustments. And so here, listen, this is what we do. So listen, tell everybody. I don't even want to take too much more of your time because time is valuable, right? And I want them to know every single thing that they could possibly know and learn about how amazing and wonderful and beautiful you are. So take it away, Shirley. Tell them who you are and what you up to.
All right, so a little bit about me. I'm 4 feet and 11 inches. And I've always been told that I'm petite and I'm a woman, I'm a girl. And if I'm just going to grow up pretty, right, and just be docile and be relatively well educated and follow my bliss, which is to be a musician, then I'm going to find a good husband and then I'm going to have a great life. Well, it so happens that life has a way of teaching us many, many lessons. And so one of the first lessons I learned as a girl is that when you try to be yourself, sometimes you have to learn to understand that other people may not really agree with the way you carry yourself or the way you see yourself in this world. And that's okay, right? So it's really always about who you discover yourself to be every day and unapologetically let the world know that I'm okay and so are you. Whether you accept me or not, it's okay. The most important thing is that you are honest with yourself. You stay true to your calling, to who you really are, and you appreciate and celebrate all the little idiosyncrasies or whatever it is, your talent and your preferences, all of that. We celebrate it and be proud of who you become every day. So my story slowly evolved from a tomboy having a very strong mind and being very vivacious and very adventurous to about age 10 when I discovered that illness can kill. And I found my mother losing her life to an illness. And from that point on, because I wasn't able to deal with the grief or the shock or the emotional devastation, um, this losing of a parent, this adverse childhood experience brought to me. So I started losing my voice slowly and getting very sick, literally very sick, having an autoimmune disease for 7 years. And in that period of time, I started writing about giving up, about dying young, about how the world is wrong and all that. But I was very lucky because during that whole time, I had music to kind of channel my emotions or my anger, my frustration, my pain, and also my really kind of sense of not knowing who I am anymore without my mother, right? So, long story short, through my musical voice and also through my presence on a performance stage, I realized that sometimes one road may be blocked, but if you know who you are and you never lose yourself in the process of your growth, when we face all kinds of challenges, it's okay to feel a little lost. But if we hold on to our inner voice and we try to find a way to express ourselves, which in my case was music, it was singing, it was being on stage to tell stories, right? To recite poems or whatever it was debating or whatever it was, then you're going to find your place. You're going to be able to make friends and to explore new, ways to figure out who you can become, right, as you evolve. So after college, I came to the States, stayed in America, and started going around the country, working for different opera houses and colleges as an opera coach pianist. And in that amazing journey, I got the opportunity to actually direct some youth programs, like young artist programs at Virginia Opera and Utah Opera, for example. And so through that process, I started getting involved with a lot of artists, a lot of musicians, young artists under the age of 30, and realized that a lot of them were having very similar struggles or challenges in their lives. And when we do not have a very strong habit or educational background of really handling our emotions, right? Our negative emotions. That's when we get into trouble. So somehow, whether it's synchronicity or it was myself manifesting this urge, this incredible curiosity of looking into the human psyche, right? As I went through my own marital problems and a divorce, and then I'm looking at all my friends in the performing arts arena, how they all have all these personas, so to speak, the public personas, this aura. When you're on stage, you're like this shiny and exuberant souls, but when you get home, it's like a totally different story. And finding that a lot of my women friends were struggling, then I became very, very interested in emotional intelligence, and and I became very involved in the education of children, because during my tenure as a kind of a touring director for these young artist programs, I was exposed to many, many elementary schools and secondary schools across the country, because we had to go to different counties and perform every morning. And so, kind of in a very synchronistic way, I started thinking, wow, what would it be like if I got the opportunity to direct a program with a lot of children and youth in it? And I can start using these empowering songs and stories in musicals, right? Like the Wizard of Oz, we sing about Over the Rainbow, we sing about hope. Like in Honk, we sing about bullying or not to bully, right? To have the empathy, the compassion, right? The self belief, right? What if we use all these great tools to start teaching young children that they don't have to be afraid, that they can actually tell others what they're experiencing and ask for help. And so, because of this really strong yearning or this really strong ask, I got to go back to my birthplace, which is Hong Kong, and started directing a very big performing arts center there. And for over 11 years, I was very fortunate to have over 10, really like hundreds of thousands of children from the age of 5 all the way to 18, and also adult performers, amateur performers, to teach me what they feel all the time and how they may need help to express their negative emotions, to handle them, to manage stress, right? And to really just believe in themselves and look at what happens to them in a very kind of neutral way, to take the emotions out of the equation and to take the lessons from each incident in their lives and just to evolve. So in 2018, after 11 years of managing this performing arts center, I decided to jump into this big ocean of entrepreneurship and started my own company and upskilled myself or reskilled myself as an emotional and social intelligence coach. And in that whole process, I really experienced a huge spiritual awakening, and I was very fortunate to have a lot of teachers come into my being. One of them was Jack Canfield. So I became a Jack Canfield Success Principles trainer as well. And in this whole process, because every night, I swear, I would go to bed with a smile and asking for the universe to show me a way to serve, to help these young souls, and to help my women friends just to live from a place of bliss, from a place of lightness, and from a place of empathy and compassion. Then after about a year, I started getting to know a lot of people on the global platform, whether it is about emotional wellness, education, or people like Carolyn yourself, really just attracting you guys to give me a platform to talk about my own journey of recovery from my depression, my childhood depression, and all that. And then also to share my expertise from the social emotional intelligence coaching and also the Jack Canfield Success Principles training. So I have been very fortunate, and I'm really enjoying my ride. And today, what I want to share in particular is that I believe that every single girl, every single mother, and every single grandmother, you are constantly on a journey of change, of betterment, of evolvement. There is no stop, there is no terminal. So every day you can feel better, you can smile more, you can create more, you can be more creative. And in this journey, all you have to do is just to share your story with the people around you, and you'll be amazed just what your voice can do for anybody, whether it's a stranger or a friend or your community.
Wow. Oh my gosh, Shirley. Like, did you just say
I think I've
as I removed myself from the I was like, I'm like, what did I just do? Oh my gosh, I couldn't even keep up with my notes. Like,
sorry.
no, that's okay because you said a lot. Like, I don't know, whoever's watching, they got some nuggets from it. Just kind of put in the chat, like, what word jumped out at you? Because especially when you talked about, like, we're all on this journey. We all have this chance to tell our story, no matter where you're at, whether you're a young girl, a teenager, or young woman, even in this, more seasoned part of your life, right? There's always a time and a place because we're always evolving. we're not the same as we were. And if we are, then we need to re-look at ourselves, right? Because we should be growing. We should be growing. Because when people come to you and they say, hey, Shirley, you're different. Like, thank you. I should be. I shouldn't be the same person that you knew before. I should
Yeah,
be better. I should be better.
if I can interject, particularly we as girls and women, we really have this burden that has been planted to us from the beginning of time. How we need to behave a certain way, talk a certain way with a certain volume. Our body language cannot be too outlandish. And what we wear has to be a certain way, otherwise we're asking for trouble and all these things, right? And even like the other day when I was doing another event for one of my first Amazon bestseller books, Like Your Life for Women, they were talking about how one of the authors was giving birth under the age of 40, not even 40, maybe around 40. And she was being labeled in the hospital as, one of those moms, I forgot what the term is, like she's like too old to give birth, and she's that particular category of mothers that need special care, otherwise
Like high risk. She was very high risk, I guess.
risk. Yeah, but there's a medical term for her. But it is so BS, so much BS, and we believe in all that BS ourselves, right? And it's time to just remember these are just labels, these little boxes we put ourselves in. And if we can put ourselves in one box, why not put ourselves outside into a bigger box or a more lightweight box or a transparent box or whatever it is? So don't let that box cave us in. If we want to have an identity, be identified as someone who is limitless.
Yes. Yes.
And then we can achieve anything. I mean, we can go to Mars. Yeah. We can be, when the metaverse is coming, we know that. We have all these STEAM and STEM education, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all we have to do is really have the confidence to say, what if what we believed, all those limiting beliefs, that fixed mindset, right?
Right.
All lies we're just being told because, well, back in whatever Stone Age or whatever it was back in those days, it might have been true, but now we can make changes. We can break through our own limiting beliefs.
Right. Right. Like you said, what if? What if? What if? And how do you, in a lot of, one of the main ways, at least I know for me, possibly for you too, was to break through those limited beliefs, was just having the boldness to tell my story.
Absolutely. The very moment that I got presented this, first opportunity to write a book, and later when yours came along, all I had to do using one of the success principles, right, is to release the brakes. Lean into it.
Just lean into it. But you know what? But I think people don't want to lean into it because it's too hard. But because when you do that, when you lean into it, you have this breakthrough. Like talk about that. Talk about the success breakthrough. Like, so what is that when you're able to lean into it and just have this breakthrough?
One of the things about the breakthrough, why changes are so hard for so many people, or why it's so hard for us to believe in ourselves in the first place, is that we need to go inward, talk to that little inner child, take her out as if she was some kind of what those NFTs now.
Yes, I know, right? Have her own NFT.
Right, your own little avatar in the metaverse, and it's looking back at you. And I swear, this was actually what happened to me around 2014 or 2015 when I went to Mykonos, and I think it was I can't recall the name right now. Apology to her, but I think it was Nadia, one of the most transformational spiritual leaders or a healer. She
Mm-hmm.
Sophie somebody. Um, one of the exercises she did with a bunch of us was to think about that inner child when we are about 3 or 4 when we were, and take her out as if she was, this thing floating in the air, looking back at you. What would that little girl or that little boy tell you right now?
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of a figure, right? This inner child needs to have a name, whether it's your pet name or whatever it is, right? Give it a name, and immediately I had this name came up, and it is my middle name, and I looked at her in my mind's eye, and that girl, every time she fell down, she just got right back up. There's no shame. There's no, look at you again. You failed. Oh my God. Aren't you embarrassed? None of that talk, you know?
Right.
That's so great about children. They get over a setback just like that.
Super resilient. Super.
Exactly. And
Super.
then their curiosity takes over. And that's one of the things that we don't want to lose as we, keep charging on. I don't want to use the word aging. Yes, we're
Mm-hmm.
aging every day. So what?
Right.
You look at you, I look at me. Whatever happens to our body, right? Whatever wrinkles or gray hair, whatever, those are just cosmetic things. But I've never felt younger than I do today. But I'm at my oldest today, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
It's really all a matter of going back to that inner child and looking at that child and then comparing the way we feel or think to that child. Then
Mm-hmm.
use that compassionate voice and say, wait a second, in the last decade or 2 decades, I have picked up a lot of limits or limiting
Yes.
beliefs. I didn't buy into those things. Those were being dumped onto me.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. They're not even yours. They're other people's. That we're there, those are other people's burdens that we are choosing to carry because they dumped them on us. And we just took because we're sponges. You remember they always talk about little kids. Oh, she's like a sponge. He's like a sponge. He takes in everything. Exactly. We're like sponges. We're very porous. We take in everything. We take in other people's energy, good and bad. It's just a matter we got to be able to wring out the what's not supposed to stay.
And we can change our hair, we can change our wardrobe, we can change our styling, and every 7 years we completely have all our cells regenerate. Why can't we change our thoughts or belief system?
Exactly. Exactly.
So one of the major things is in our training, the number one success secret of the biggest icons of all times, the most successful people like Napoleon Hill or Oprah, whoever it was, is to take 100% responsibility for your own happiness and
Yes.
success.
Yes.
And if something doesn't work, just do something about it.
You're right. You're
Start with believing that is possible and 5% every day. 5%, just 5%.
Mhm.
And really unleash the power of goal setting, and then really use visualization, right? Affirmation and all those so-called law of attraction tools. Use
Mhm.
them well, right? And then at the same time, what is so very important, what I was talking about before I came on your show, is really use global networks. Just really networks. Don't have to think about global. It can be just outside of your own family, outside
Mhm.
of your own community.
Mhm.
You're always going to be stimulated or inspired by other people's perspectives, or be inspired by the similar stories that you have gone through. And if
Right.
that person can change and completely uplifted their lives, so can you. They're not any more special than you are.
Exactly. And this is why this oh my gosh. And I love the universe. I love, my God, I love the way everything just kind of fully aligns. and we need people like each other, right, to just continue to be the light. And I think it was, I don't know how I found you, but I found you. And I think I just kind of like, I was just like, hey, it was in a bold moment saying, hey, I'm going to have a conference. You want to be a speaker? I, I didn't know who she was. And then just like months later, you wrote me back. It was like, oh, amazing. It's so wonderful. And I'm like, yes. And we've been connected pretty much ever since. Right. So I love the fact, like you said, energy, when you put that type of energy out there, that's what has no choice but to come back to you. It comes back to you tenfold. So, and I love the fact that see, everything is energy. So if you haven't figured this out, you guys, it's all about your energy. We always hear about protect your energy, protect your peace, protect all those things. And yesterday, when we were on with Sarah from the UK, and she talked about now, this energy work and this silent practitioner, that she just became a silent practitioner. And it's about, your meridians. And so once again, you guys are going to have to look this stuff up because you have to do the work. You still have to do the work to figure out how to release these things. And she talked about the inner child work. And now here you are talking about it again. And I just have to give a disclaimer, because I know if anyone out there is listening to inner child work, what is she talking about? I was one of those people that said, inner child work, what's wrong with these people? And I'll give you an example. When I was going through my healing, right? And really like, okay, I'm a little messed up from what has happened to me. And now I had a major trigger that really shifted and flipped my whole life upside down 5,000 times. So I said, okay, I need to go and see somebody. I need to go and find a tribe and a group that understands what I'm going through, because I don't even understand what I'm going through. And so I found the support group of individuals who were also adults who were survivors of incest, like me, but that was my trauma. So I need to find the tribe that identified with my trauma so I can identify my own trauma, because I wasn't clear on it. And so, and I remember, there's some things in there, and I did learn a lot, because one of the things, if you ever did any kind of 12-step type of program for whatever, right, it all follows same kind of principles. They all have some kind of steps. So I had to go through the steps. And so, hi, my name is Carolyn. I'm an incest survivor, that type of thing. Right. So that's acknowledging, like you said, you have to acknowledge your own stuff. So one of the things in one of the workshops they had on the list, and it was about this, inner child. And I laughed at it. I'm like, we all grown. We're going to run around acting like we like 4 and 5 and 6. And I thought it was just the craziest thing. And I'm like, I don't want no parts of that. I said, I'll go do something else that I thought I needed. It wasn't until literally during this pandemic that I realized the power of inner child work. And I was like, oh, that's what they were trying to show me. And I was resistant to it. I'm like, dang, I could have fixed that part about 6 years ago. But it wasn't until the pandemic when I realized, I'm like, I had to give Carolyn, the 7-year-old Carolyn, the 5-year-old Carolyn, I had to give her permission. I had to give her permission because it was a picture of her as Wonder Woman. And I was like, you already knew what you were. And I said, I give you permission to continue to be the Wonder Woman that you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I just wanted to point that out for anyone who's listening over the past few days. They're like, inner child. Oh my God, energy. What are they talking about? Listen, if you want to know how we get into this place and space, this is why we're here. Go ahead, Shirley.
No, exactly. When I was told to do that, I was like, what did I, what the, okay, whatever,
I was like,
yeah, exactly. And I remember one of my teachers by the name of Taylor Mongan. He's from Hawaii, originally like Georgia, but then spent a lot of time in Hawaii. He was one of the people who really like started my alchemy, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I looked at him. He's like, okay, these yogi type, whatever, this kind of different, and the way they talk, all these energy. Do you know what your energy is doing to you? I'm like, what energy? I was in a fog for 40 years. And one of the things we always say, okay, you don't have to buy in all these lingos. Just look at the way your life is right now. Because the facts don't lie.
No, they don't.
I talk a lot nowadays, right, with my new courses. I talk a lot about the 7 types of wealth. Look at your physical health, your emotional health, your time wealth, all that. Just look at them. They, the way they are, tell you everything you need to know. If you're doing extremely well in all areas, then you don't need to listen to anybody. But if one of those areas is not happening like you want it to, that means there is work to be done.
Mm-hmm.
That means that there are lessons to be learned, things to
Right.
discover. And if we go back, forget about that inner child or whatever it is, energy topics. In any moment, if you were going to only have one more minute to live, do you feel like you can smile for the next 60 seconds and have no regrets and be light as feather and just take me? It's okay, I can go. If you can go to that state, if you feel like that, then yeah, sure. You don't need to listen to anybody. But are you that light? Are you that happy? Are you like being shielded with this invisible sense of bliss, right? And an inner peace that no matter what happens, you know deep in the core of your being, you know you're going to be okay. You can kind of dismiss or disintegrate all the stress around you, right? Um, just always have friends or people that you admire who can come to your rescue if you need it. I mean, if you are doing that well, then well, good for you. Then you know your energy is working for you. Otherwise, if all these, like, so to speak, these different tools, right? They're just tools, they're just ideas. When you hear them, you feel kind of blocked or offended or offensive, right? That means something is kind of locked. And if you can just keep an open mind, use that curiosity, that kind of creativity or innovation, sense of bias for innovation, which are all EQ qualities or intelligent skills, then you will discover, hey, maybe there's something that I haven't quite discovered, right? We all always talk about, like in my training, I always talk about how we have 8 intelligences. So are we really developing all our 8 intelligences, right? Just something to really think about in the middle of the night. Why do you want to have another day of existence? Is it to make more money? Is it to acquire more stuff, right? Or to get more approval from other people? Or is it just about your own discoveries and your own passions and living a life of your own design? You know? So if your answer is, well, maybe I need to know a little more, that is when you know that you have some breakthroughs waiting for you and that you have some new friends to make, some new books to read, right? Like our book, Her. I hand it back to you, Carolyn.
Yes, I love it. You said in our book, Her, yes, which stands for, by the way, healed, empowered, and resilient. So, I mean, there's 25 women from all around the globe. Like if you've been watching, this is only day 13 and 14, day 14. And we still have some more days to go. So there's still more women to feature. There's still more stories to hear. There's still more lives that will continue to be touched because everybody's story is different. Everybody's story is unique. But these women, including Shirley right here, who's the Miss Resiliency Jedi, like that's her claim to fame, right? That's right. That's right. That's right. So to the point of going through whatever the case may be, like she said, don't worry about this, like, oh, those like energy people are weird. And yeah, we are. but it's really like you would never know that I really take on those modalities because that's really what got me to where I'm at. That's what got Shirley to where she's at. That's where all of these women were able to tap into something. They were able to tap into something that allowed them to take them from where they were to now who they are. And so if you need to hear or experience something to see, wait a minute, that reminds me of me. Like, wait a second, if they went through that and this is where they're at now, wow, wait a minute, I can really relate to that. Then Yeah,
Yeah.
her story. Her story is right here. And the books are in the corner. Look in the corner. But it's just amazing to be able to get to a place and space where we can be of service and share our lives with all of you, to just literally show that we are powerful. This is Women's History Month. It's for me, it's Women's History Month every day, right? Every single day is Women's History, because we are powerful in everything that we do. It's other people's insecurities, other people's limiting beliefs that are thrown upon us, and we just carry them like we carry everything else because of the nurturers and the carers that we are.
Yeah.
Shirley, what were you about to say?
Exactly. And, whether we blame it on our estrogen or our hormones, our unique female hormones, right? We are being given the gift of looking at many different things and projecting what may happen to the
Mm-hmm.
people around us who we care for. And so that if we're not careful, that's what happened to my mother and then happened to me, carrying that depressive gene and also pessimism. If I had a middle name after the age of 10, it would have been P, Miss P, because I was absolutely, devastatingly pessimistic about life. So much so that I spent every day writing about dying young before I was 17. Because I looked at my mother who died when she was 33, I think, 33 or 32, whatever. And then my own dad also passed away right after retirement, 55, 56.
Wow.
So why would I, because of my experiences, right,
Mm-hmm.
that tunnel vision, right, of, okay, that will happen to my dad and mom, so it's probably going to happen to me too.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought into that belief because they didn't have a way of, at the time when they were sick, they didn't have such a strong belief that I can cure myself. I'm not going to lose this battle. Don't you dare take me. I'm not ready to go. They didn't have that resiliency or whatever you call it, right? That I'm not going to be knocked down kind of spirit.
Right.
And so, in order for us to hone into this kind of resiliency, there's no way you're not going to take me, right now, in the last 2 years, or in right now in Hong Kong, the lockdown is going haywire, and a lot of people are really out of jobs. A lot of businesses are being closed down and all that. There's so much complaining and blaming and all that. And so when we don't know about energy, when we don't know that this is actually a period of cleansing, if we if someone had a business that made money and hired 100 people to work for him, that itself is a big piece of bliss. And maybe that bliss needs to come to some kind of an end so that a new chapter can open. And for that to happen, there has to be some kind of a catalyst. There has to be
Mm-hmm.
some an event, right?
Right.
So in Chinese, we have the word a crisis is made of two characters. The first character is danger,
Mm-hmm.
while the next character, side by side, is opportunity.
Mm.
Both of them is like the right hand and the left hand, as
Okay.
a compound word, right?
Right.
So we can choose to focus on the crisis or focus our energy on the opportunity.
Yeah.
And
And there's
this,
opportunity in everything.
in the crust of resilience, that is what needs to happen when you focus on getting back up, but not falling down.
But not falling down. Wow. I love every time we get a chance to connect, because you're just like such a bright light, and to literally, like I said, it's that force, that Jedi, we call it becoming a Jedi force. But it's really like when you start breaking down and then people understand the reason behind, like the story behind the story, it's like, wait a minute, you have to do something different. You believed that, well, if they didn't live past a certain time, then neither will I. And so then you start acting in that way. You start living in that way. You don't do anything to change it. You just go along with the program, like, oh, well, like, okay, well, that happened to them, so it's definitely going to happen to me. It's in the family. It's what it is. And then you accept it, but it doesn't mean that that has to be your narrative. We are in control of our own narrative. That is because we're all unique individuals, just like our fingerprints. No one has the same. No one has the same story. Everyone is different. And then we're given the outline. See, our creator gives us the outline, and then we're able to fill in the blanks. We are able, he gives us grace, gives us our own free will to fill in the blanks based on an outline that was already given for the path. Now, we can maybe, go left with it and change the whole story. And then it's like, well, that's not what your life was supposed to be. But okay, if that's how you want to write it, then okay, I'm gonna let you write it that way. And then we wonder like why the story is not the bestseller of our own life.
You nailed the, yeah, totally on the head, the problem on the head. And
Yeah.
um, just like, the book, right? All our stories or like a movie, right? If we like movies, we like songs. Basically, I mean, I cannot find anybody who doesn't like music or like songs or like
I
movies
know.
stories, right? There is a little child just reading, in Asia, for example, right? You like supposed to do everything your parents tell you, like to the T. And if you like totally immersed in a book and you don't go out, to join dinner, you get scolded. And when I was little, we get hit too. I mean, corporal punishment, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Here in the States too. That was a back in the day thing. I don't think that happens anymore.
Yeah, and so basically, we all know that from the time we were born, we love stories. Whether it's our mom singing a lullaby to us, or whether it's our grandparents. Oh my God! Remember those times when you got to see your grandparents and they told you all these stories about World War II or whatever, right? How they just survived on eating nothing, right? And just raising, for example, my grandma. Basically, my granddad was a sailor. He was hardly ever home, sent very little money back, to she had three boys to raise all on her own. And they were living in these really impoverished areas in Hong Kong, right? And how she got from there to later on, I think it was by the time she was 65 or so, she earned her first million. And
Mhm.
wow, so inspiring, right? And so when we talk about these stories, think about going to a movie which doesn't have a good ending. Do you feel good about that? No. No matter how you call that the Hollywood formula or whatever it is, oh, it's so silly. It's just a Hollywood movie formula. We all like a story with a happy ending. And what the happy ending really is about is not a finality in itself, but the fact that that person can reinvent her own story or their own story, right? To leave from a state of victimhood to a state of bliss or victory. And so what we want to remember is that's not like a one-time job. It's an ongoing, lifelong pursuit. And in that process, we find a motivation to get up every morning. So going back to the inner child, when you're 2 or 3, every morning you get back up, from your pillow and you go, "What's going on today? What's happening today?" That kind of a let me see kind of spirit, you know.
I forgot I had me on mute. Wow, my cat was bothering me. so, so I know. So listen, this has been so amazing to have you on and to get everyone to meet you and to really truly understand who you are. Like you're more than just this person or character, right? In this book, you have a whole story behind the story. You are resilient. You are, you break through all those powerful words. And here's the other thing I wanted to say. Like for her 4'11" self, like you're big and mighty and powerful and bold and you stand tall. She's like, no, 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 no. Just because I'm supposed to be little and petite, I'm supposed to fall into line. You got the wrong one. You got the wrong one. So before we go, tell everybody how they can reach you.
Well, the easiest way is to look up Shirley Whing. Whing is very unique. There's no other spelling of this word because it's actually created with a master. So WHING. Okay, you can think about chicken wing, but add the H to it. It's not chicken wing, but Shirley Whing. And my name is Chow. So on Facebook, you can look up Shirley Whing C. On LinkedIn, on IG, it's just Shirley Whing because my model or my motto is resilience. Whing Resilience Success Coaching is my company. And you can also look me up if you use WhatsApp. If you can show everyone my WhatsApp number,
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to connect with you. I'm global, and my coaching is global. So I use music, I use storytelling, and success principles, which is really think of it as law of attraction, practical usage, addition, and also the most comprehensive 26 intelligence skills profile that Fortune 500 companies and CEOs use in the American market. It's called SEIP. So I can administer an SEIP for anyone to show them all their hidden potential and roadblocks so they can easily break through and achieve new heights. Yes.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. So before you go, I ask everybody this to give us a quirky fact. That's one little quirky fact. I know, right? One little quirky fact. And a inspiring word or a message that someone can take today and carry the rest of their day and maybe into the rest of the week.
A cocky one.
Yeah, a quirky fact.
Okay, so here's one. Why not me? Try me.
Ooh, why not me? Try me.
Try me. Why not me? Try
Why
me.
not me? There you go.
Very practical, whether it works at a bar or a restaurant, police station, whatever. I used to get speeding tickets all the time. Oops, officer.
It was like, wait a minute. I got somewhere to be.
Driving a little too fast, lady. Okay.
Okay, slow down just a little bit.
Yes, I know.
Well, Shirley, well, hang tight. I'm going to close this out, but hang tight, stay backstage. So tell everybody, like, see you later, bye, and give her some hearts and loves. Thanks everybody who joined us today.
Take care.
Take care. All right, I'll see you back in a second.
All right.
All right. Oh my gosh, like you guys, like I love it when I get to talk to Shirley because she is such a light. That's what I'm just saying. Everyone, because here, light attracts light. I'm not saying like, I'm saying light. Because when you allow your light, your inner light to shine, when you break through, because you know she talked about breakthrough, when you are able to break through all of the past darkness, the things, the burdens, the things that other people, the limiting beliefs that you decided to carry, your light can shine through. And when your light shines through, then other people can find you and other people can find the beauty that you are, that you have become healed, that you are empowered, and that you are definitely resilient. So I want to thank all of you. Look, we say Andrea gave us all these like, yes. So thank you so much, you guys, for tuning in. It was such a treat to have Shirley join us all the way across the world from Hong Kong. It's matter of fact, it's tomorrow for her. It's still today for us. So we just crossed time zone. We're kind of like in this little Jedi war. But I want you to take what she said today, take it to heart, and just think about, why not me? And just ask yourself that question. So I want you guys to do one or three things. Make sure you definitely go get this HERStory. That's the first and foremost thing. So you can read HERStory and all the other amazing women. Tune back in tomorrow at noon for another featured day 15. Can you believe it? 15 days. But in the meantime, I want you guys to do one of three things. Now, if you know what they are, kind of put it in the chat for me, because at this point you kind of should know, but it's okay if you don't. But I'm gonna remind you. I want you to do one of three things. It's be empowered, be inspired, and most importantly, just be magnified. Take care, you guys. Enjoy your day. Toodaloo.